Alison Rosen. Alison Rosen is your new best friend. Alison, with her the good times never end. Alison Rosen, doing the wavy pencil dance again. Alison Rosen, Alison's your new best friend.
Hey everyone, hi, hello. Welcome to a very special episode of Alison Rosen is your new best friend. I'm sitting in my studio with your husband and mine, Daniel Quantz. Hello.
What's up?
Is that a vuvuzela or a t-shirt cannon?
It's early in the morning, so it's like a morning show.
Oh, thank you. So, I'm barely up. It is 8:33 a.m. on a Sunday morning. Not an unusual time for us to be awake, but a historically unusual time for us to be recording a show. Actually, normally, I know that no one wants to dig in on this granular level. Daniel would still be asleep at this time normally, and I would be up with the kids. On a Sunday? Yeah, you would. Don't even, Daniel. You would. However, we never have ever recorded this early. But we're doing it because this past week has been very unusual and insane for us. It was spring break for the kids. My mother-in-law came out. So every day except for one day this week, Daniel and I went down to Orange County to work on sorting through stuff at my mom's house. And I also ran 1,000 estate-related errands. I am now ready to be an estate attorney and also probably host an estate sale. If you need me to settle your estate, let me know. I know the ins and I know the outs. But anyway, we didn't have a chance to record this week until now, and Daniel's mom is leaving this morning, so we had to squeeze in.
Super
That's our
early.
fun way of saying squeeze. Try it, squeeze. We had to squeeze in a recording. And I am barely awake. I'm in my robe. My eyes feel puffy. I'm wearing my glasses, but it's not working. And the coffee hasn't, I've only had a couple sips. Daniel, take over.
Yeah, everything that you said is correct. I'm here to verify that your story checks out. Yeah, we have been marinating in the life of your parents and you to a lesser degree, your childhood stuff, but just going through all of their stuff. And let me tell you, this house was, your mother, I am absolutely convinced.
She's she didn't know that a trash can was a thing.
I think that the garbage truck would come by every week and be like, does she know that we can help? Does she know we're here to help? Because that house, oh my God, just the first, do we want to talk about this stuff? I mean,
yeah.
Well,
wait, first let me do my plugs, because you know what? The people, they love the plugs.
Oh my God.
If I don't
I've heard some people tune in just for the plugs.
Yeah. They fast forward through the content.
Which is weird.
It is weird. They fast forward through the content and they're just
Should we have a plugs only feed?
That's what Twitter is. I'm just kidding. Yes, we should. So you guys, I'm on Patreon. Patreon.com/Alison Rosen. The level I would really direct your attention to is the confidant level. That is the texting level, and that is a level where I send a daily update via text. You can also text me, I'll text you back. But I send a daily update via text every morning, and that is where I spill my true heart and soul. Sadly, we lost a honey gourami. That's one of my fish. It was either refrigerator or refrigerator 2. I'm unsure. We lost that guy this week. They found out they knew he was sick, but they knew he made a miraculous recovery, and now they know that it was just temporary. Also, a lot of thoughts on, what's going on at the house. Some sort of diary type stuff I found of my mom's that's just upsetting. So anywho, patreon.com/Alison Rosen. Also Substack.
Alisonrosen.substack.com.
AlisonRosen.substack.com. That's where my writing is. Oh, and then also I do friend zones on Patreon. All right, hit it, Daniel.
I just want to point out that you don't just sound tired.
I look tired?
You look tired.
Something's going on underneath my left eye. It's like, you know how...
What is going on there?
I don't know. My skin has decided to hug itself in a wrinkle-like formation. I think it's just very dry.
Did you sleep on that eye?
I don't normally sleep on my eye.
Yeah.
But you know what I just realized? And it's crazy that it's taken me my entire life up until a few months ago to realize.
Mm-hmm.
I always think that I sleep on my back or my side, but I sleep on my back. And then when I'm ready to go to sleep, I turn to my side.
Oh my God.
Get on the mic.
Oh my God. I can't. This is.
Why are you?
I thought you were going to
waving-
I thought you were going to save this content for the patrons.
You're right. They didn't. The texters didn't find out about it. But it's just funny that it's something that I do every single night, like clockwork, and I only just became acquainted with myself in this way. You know that horrible movie where where Julia Roberts, The Runaway Bride, where she doesn't know how she likes her eggs, and then when she tries to find herself, she like tries eggs all these different ways. I hate that movie with the passion of fire of 1,000 suns. But I'm like that in that I didn't know how I sleep. Yeah, so I always start on my back, and then I'm like, it's time, and then I roll over, and then I fall asleep. Should I do a whole hour on this?
You're trying to put me back to sleep.
I know. I just am. Anyway, yeah, my eye looks weird, right?
It's like more wrinkly.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead. I know. I noticed the same.
Well, I'm just thinking like all of the potions and lotions aren't working on that one eye for some reason.
Well,
it's like the telltale eye.
Oh no, it's the eye of Dorian Gray.
Right. What if one eye shows your true age while the rest of you stays like
I would have to wear
35.
a patch, like a pirate patch.
Oh yeah.
Can I tell you, I found a picture of myself from 2010 with a mystery baby, and I was like, who is this baby? And then I realized, I believe it's my friend Yami's baby. But I looked good. In 2010, that was like and that's around when you met me too. 28 to 2012, let's say, that was the heyday of my looks. It all went downhill after that.
Yeah. What happened? Was it just meeting me?
I think I met you, yeah. I don't know.
You just said, fuck it.
I don't know. I was fresh from New York at that point. I was in New York, and I don't know. I think the salty air has corroded my face.
No, you look good, honey. You look really good, except for that eye.
Thanks. Just don't look at it. So anyway, go ahead. Talk about the house.
Well, yeah, your mother not throwing anything away, and I mean anything. The first pass was just like going through and throwing away just obvious trash. Just like the office, first of all.
It was a combustible paper den.
Like floor to ceiling. And I mean
not really floor to ceiling.
No, but it was like every inch of floor space
was covered with stacks
of paperwork. The desks, of which there were 3, they were all stacked, not just stacked.
But only one was usable. The
barely.
3 desks,
whoa,
and one was
whoa.
barely usable.
Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Each of them had stacks of paper, but then also, it was like someone dumped paperwork on top of the stacks of paper. And then,
it's true.
And then the one that you claim was usable was only usable in like. By the way, this is kind of how your desk is, where it's just like mountains of shit,
it's
and then
hereditary.
just like one little area where the computer is, where you could do a little bit of work, and every other square inch of space.
I know.
But it was like used tissues and candy and or candy wrappers and just.
Well, I have a question. How much is that my mom versus inhabitants of the house?
Impossible to know.
Yeah.
I mean, because, your sister lived there for 2 months.
Right.
But was she using that computer? No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, actually.
She couldn't get into it.
You're right. I don't know. But I know that she would sit there and do work. So.
At that desk?
Yeah. She said that she was using mom's desk. You know what, though? But she also said.
There's no way.
She had notes at that desk.
I mean, maybe she sat there once.
Okay, yeah.
Like that desk was unusable for anything other than that computer. If you can't get into the computer, what's the point?
Right.
But anyway, like,
are you annoyed at my interruption?
I don't care. And then like every box that anything was ever sent in, so the shipping boxes and the box that the thing came in. So that's like
Saved.
2 boxes for every shipment. I mean,
and she was an online shopaholic, so there were lots of
the garage was just full of empty fucking boxes and bags, like Amazon bags. So the first order of business was just like getting rid of the obvious garbage, and I think this is, you know, obviously a generational thing too. What before computers, where all the statements were mailed to you, but it's like every single piece of mail.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like every statement from every single account, every bill, every just for decades. And, you know, there's that thing of like, what do you do with this shit?
Right.
Because
well, it's like I'm hanging, you know, I have tax returns probably for like every year that I ever filed tax. Is that the stuff?
I understand holding on to tax returns.
What is the point of holding on to them really, though? Like, do I need my tax returns from 2005?
I don't know. There's that thought of like, if we ever get audited, you have your returns.
But, I mean, I guess, yeah. That's maybe something that can be sort of kept in a concise manner.
Look, I'm saying, like, I at least understand the logic of holding on to your tax returns. I don't understand the logic of holding on to your electric bill from 10 years ago.
Yes.
So it's like
every single Cox bill she ever received.
Yeah, like, no, what's the scenario you're prepared to handle here with all of this? Like, what do you think is going to happen where you're going to need any of it? Like,
and then we had sort of a running joke because every time she would see you, she would ask you about Wi-Fi and technology. And you actually said when she was dying, you're like, if you recover, I'll tell you all about the new iPhone. Didn't you say that? Like, I'll make you a deal.
Yeah, she thought I was like the world's expert in Wi-Fi.
Thought you were like
I don't
an
understand
Apple genius.
Fucking shit about like mesh networks. Like she wanted to create. She had a problem with the mesh network in her, or I don't know. Anyway, so like,
did she have dead zones or something? Probably. Well,
yeah, like
the whole house is a dead zone.
I guess the router was so the room the router was in was separated from the bedroom by a wall of mirrors, like the closet mirrors.
Yes.
And the signal couldn't pass through the mirrors or something. And so she was trying to figure out how to get her, you know, Wi-Fi into the bedroom because she was having a dead zone in the bedroom, so to speak. Anyway, so it was just like, I don't know, like, but because nothing was ever thrown away, it was a real tour through their lives. Because
but what I was going to say, the reason I brought up the technology, though, is because in addition to all the statements, there's like copious notes on. You can just reading it, you can tell what took up all her energy. Yes. And what took up all her energy was technology and shopping.
Like it literally, I feel like a geologist going through, you know, the Grand Canyon and going down in time as you go down through the stacks, because you're just like, oh, in 1989,
she got a new cable box.
Yeah, like, and then there's all these like files where she'd printed out pages from the internet, early internet, where it was like how to copy and paste. like you press this button and the C, and then you move the cursor, like. Basic ass stuff.
Yeah.
And there was like pages and pages of that stuff.
Yeah.
Folks, throw shit away. Like, this is no way to live. So
can I say something now?
Yeah.
So for me, the first many days of doing the house was really depressing because it was so I want to say anodyne. Is that the right word?
It is a word.
Yeah, well, as long as it's a word. Or sort of antiseptic. I don't know. It was just like there was no evidence of a life lived or joy or anything. It was just drudgery. It was medical, you know, because they were both
the
old,
office
especially
stuff,
my dad.
especially.
It was fine. It was bills and it was medical stuff,
right.
and it was I mean, the number of catheters in this house. So bills, medical stuff. And then I've mentioned before that my mom was like a shopaholic who didn't return anything. Well, she did return stuff, but she had years worth of stuff that she didn't return.
The amount of clothes that still had tags on them. I mean,
it's honestly obscene. We're talking like insane. Thousands of dollars, thousands and thousands of dollars, probably like thousands between $5,000 and $10,000.
Like, it's wild for
someone
people,
who was as stingy as she was.
Yeah, for people who are like always stressed about money and like, are you sure you're gonna buy an appetizer? You know, like you
just tell the story, Daniel. There's two things Daniel's upset at my mom about.
There are two things that I'm upset about. Yeah, I guess.
Would you like to share them?
Well, I'm going to try to remember the scenario. So when we would go over to, be there, when we would inevitably be there half the time when your sister and her family were there, and your mom would be like, "Okay, let's order dinner," and we would order dinner.
Ordering. So eventually, no one cooked. It used to be that my dad did the cooking.
Yeah, your mom.
And then it got to a point where no one cooked. So I don't remember if my dad was alive at this time or not. I think he was, but
not sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was.
Yeah, he may have been.
I'm pretty sure he was. So ordering dinner became this fucking ordeal.
Just, we would
so many people trying to figure out which restaurant to go to, and then placing the order on the iPad, and then at the end, my mom would go, "Oh, I have if we split the order on 3 different iPads, we get $15 off or something." And it was just like, no, and it would take another hour.
And then the kids would be like hitting that wall.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours later than when they normally eat. Yeah, it got to the point where we, like the night before we go down, we'd be like, let's figure out where we're going to eat in the car. Right. And then I think we were like, let's just do our own thing. It was a nightmare.
Yeah, okay. So it was like a whole thing. And here's the thing. I've talked about it on the show. I don't give a fuck like about food and eating. Like He's
weird that way.
I just want to eat and get it done with, right? I do want to get enough food, though. That's the only thing. I want to eat enough to had enough food.
Feel like you ate.
Yeah. And so I forget though what the scenario was. All I remember is like and I don't remember exactly what she said, maybe you do, but like
I don't know if I do.
I was trying to order and your mom was saying all this incredibly passive aggressive stuff like
about the price of things.
Yeah, like I think inquiring about, is this going to be too much? What was it? It felt like, very aggressive.
Kind of expensive. Was she saying that? I don't know. She was clearly like auditing the things you were going to get because she was going to pay. And she was clearly
she paid every time.
Yeah. She was clearly like, well, wait, but here we are talking about how she's cheap, and then we're saying she paid for dinner every time. Does that actually make it seem like
she was cheap in the sense that she would make you feel guilty about her paying?
Right.
But she would pay.
She paid for dinner when we all came down.
So yeah. But on this day, usually she was just like fine. But for some reason, on this day.
Right. So she was making all these little comments about the cost of the items.
And it was like these mixed signals, it was like she was, I wish I could remember the story exactly, but you
were enraged
because she was like basically saying like, here, place this order at this place that we've chosen.
Uh-huh.
And then as I was trying to place an order, which by the way, it's not like I was like buying 15 appetizers and a dessert and a fucking this. It was just like, I was getting like, maybe like a salad and
an entree.
An entree. Like it was, and she was like hinting, don't over order while I was placing the order. Like, are you sure? I can't remember. I'm not doing the story justice.
It was in essence like, you're going to eat all that, but she didn't. Like, that wasn't what it was.
Right. And I was just like, I'm just trying to just tell. I think I said something to her like, just tell me what you want me to do. Like, stop it with the fucking comments.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't want to buy a dinner at this place, then let's just choose a cheap ass place. I don't give a fuck.
And by the way, it was like Cheesecake Factory or something.
Yeah, like
it wasn't.
I'll go to fucking Taco Bell. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care. So why are you like acting as though I'm sitting here buying like?
Well, and then also like there's Gina's is a pizza and salad place that we like,
Yeah, but
but
your
it's always
sister
like, but
won't
my
eat
sister
tomatoes.
can't have tomatoes. It's just everything is complicated.
So it's like, but I'm fine doing our own thing. Even
Right.
like I don't even fucking need you to buy dinner.
Yeah.
It's just that you're offering and it's convenient for one person to buy.
Right.
Like, I am not trying to take advantage of you. I don't even give a fuck. Like, it was so enraging because I didn't know how to proceed. It's like I was being told that I should know. That's what it was. It was like she was insinuating that I should be doing this in such a way as to be sensitive to her financial situation, but go ahead and get whatever you want. Like, what? Oh, just tell me what you fucking
Right.
want me to do.
You are doing that little thing you do when you think, which is where you roll an imaginary booger between your fingers. You're like rubbing your fingers together as you talk.
And then the other thing that
No, wait. So then we go in the other room and you were so angry. You're like,
because I was
your
the only one. she
mother
was
is a total
doing that to.
narcissist or something. Was it that? Was that the
No,
time? That
no,
was might have been a different time.
No, but it was like, why are you coming down on
Right.
me?
Yes. So anyway, given that she was like, really over a salad, then to discover this mass of this waste of money is a little bit like, what?
The other thing that pissed me off is that after she died, we found
We never got to celebrate Christmas
Yeah,
with
she
her.
died, right?
She died.
Yeah.
We were supposed to get together on the 26th, but my sister's family was sick.
she was there on the 23rd. or
Yeah.
22nd.
And they got quite sick.
And they
So everyone was too sick to come to our house for Christmas, so we were going to do it after, but then my mom got sick and died.
she up and died.
She fucking up and died.
And so when we finally were down there and decided, okay, well, let's exchange presents, your sister came out with like a couple presents for us from your mom. I think one thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And which I thought was weird because your mom always would have multiple things. She usually had like one or two nice-ish things. She didn't spend a lot of money, but it's fine. I don't care. And then like a lot of little things, right? So it's like, she only got this one thing, right? Okay. And then we were in the bedroom and I saw in the closet a box full of stuff. And it's like, oh, clearly your mom hadn't wrapped everything yet.
Hadn't wrapped anything, I don't think.
For us.
Yeah.
So that's why there was only one thing. I guess your sister didn't know or think about it. So I was like, hey, is this stuff for us? And she's like, I don't know. Like, clearly it is.
Yeah.
But she had to like, she had to decide whether or not she's going to let us have it or something. And because, she's the one who decides.
Wait a minute. The C's candy, though.
Right. So next to the box of stuff was a bag of C's candy that I'd seen. And
Sorry, go ahead.
A little backstory. I had been wanting some C's candy. So there's a little bit of a like, ooh factor, like C's candy.
The ooh factor.
Right. Yeah, your mom loved to go to C's candy. So
She always got C's candy for us for Christmas.
And
well, that was growing up, like before husbands were even in the picture. There was usually C's candy in our stocking. And then as we got older, often that would be like a pretty standard gift from her.
Yeah. And there were multiple like boxes of, assorted
truffles.
And then 2 bags of chocolate covered almonds. And your sister comes out and she's like, she distributes the gifts that were for us. She in her magnanimousness decided to let us have them. And but the C's candy, it turns out, was all for her family.
Yeah.
And she's right. When you go through it, it had the letters written on it.
For who each thing was for. So Daniel's upset that my mom didn't buy him
which
any
was
C's
wild
candy.
because your mom had always in the past thought of us. So the fact that like she bought candy for your sister and her family, but not for us. And then your sister's like, oh, I think she got you these almonds. I was like, oh, okay.
No, I don't.
Well,
I think she said you can have these
okay.
almonds, like as if they were. My sense was
no,
you could have them. It wasn't those.
It wasn't
were for
presented
you.
to me. That
Okay,
way. It was presented to me like I think she got these for you.
Oh,
but then when I found the receipts in the office, the almonds were a free gift if you spend over $75.
and
So
I had said to Daniel, like I'm sure she bought it online, but she actually took her butt into C's and got it. So Daniel cannot stop talking about the C's that my mom didn't get him.
Like, what the fuck, Shelley? I don't know. I don't know why that. There's something about that really like
Zings you.
Yeah.
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 Does it feel like being a kid who didn't get something?
I know that your mom bought your sister's husband a lot more shit.
Mm.
And it's not about the shit, because there's honestly, I don't care. It's all like small things. There's something about the fact that she would reward him with all these little gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically got like a shirt.
Yeah.
Not even basically get a shirt. I got a shirt. She was going to give me
hot sauce.
Well, but that was the one thing she bought for him that she decided to get for me as well.
Yeah.
But she bought it for him.
Right.
The hot sauce was something she bought for him, and then she was like, she just bought another one for me, which is fine. That's good hot sauce. But like, I just feel like this was, they spend more time down there, so I do understand like that part of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The whole thing just feels like, oh, really?
My dad was obsessed with fairness. My mom was not.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. And that's becoming more and more clear the more we go through the estate.
Yeah.
Like just how much she played favorites and didn't care. And like, I don't know.
And to be the one who was the ones who were clearly not the favorites, but to be the ones who were doing the lion's share of work.
Not the lion's share.
All of it.
Literally all of it.
Yeah, is kind of
100% of the work.
Yeah.
And for me, I feel like I just spent a week, like I was up in the fucking rafters of that like garage, hauling heavy shit down. I've been like going through every part of that house.
I got coated in dust from like 1970 because there's this underneath all the boxes. There's this like weathered box that says John stuff. And it was my dad's ashes. No, just kidding. And it was like the color of the dust was black, and it was a banker's box. And I opened it, and it's so old that it like I opened it, and it was so like crispy and weather beaten that the lid kind of like closed on me. Like it like resisted my trying to open it, and I did it not with a lot of strength. So I just like tried to open it, and it was like it like got angry at me and closed, and then all this like dust that I think was from the 70s blew at me. I probably have chronic
That's probably why your
COPD
eyes
right now.
all fucked
Yes.
Yeah.
It's from 1970s dust. Oh my God. And then we haven't not finished talking about the inside of the house, but can we talk about...
We can. It does not...
So I open the box, and it's like a bunch of my books and things that my grandfather had written. Textbooks. And then there's this medical device, and it's like it's like a cool looking case. And we opened it up, and there's these like two long silver, like the size of the width of the circumference of your thumb, and they're long. And there's this piece that like goes in and out. And I'm just like, what?
It looks like a metal sex toy.
Yes. Is this an ancient sex toy? What is this? And so then I took a picture. I did,
But your dad was a doctor, so let's just remind anyone who doesn't know that.
And my grandfather was also a doctor, and then a psychiatrist, and then a sex perv creep. So anyway, though, Google image search, it's an anoscope, which is used to examine the anus and the rectum. I don't know why this is used. It's like, this is like 1/38 of a colonoscopy, I guess. But Daniel had touched it, and I'm like, you should wash your hands. Like, I don't know where this has been.
It was very clean. It looked like it had never been used, frankly.
But it was in this box from 1,000 years ago. So was it my grandfather's anoscope?
No.
So anyway, then though, we're in the house, and just to the left of my dad's desk
is like an unhoused
just one piece of the anoscope.
I was just joking that it's like your dad's house is a place where you could say, where do I put all the anoscopes?
No, that wasn't your joke. That's a good one. But it was like, where did I put the anoscopes?
Yes.
Where are the anoscopes? Yeah. And it had just been out all this whole time.
Yeah.
I just never noticed it.
Yeah.
Who's anoscoping in the house?
Maybe it's just a funny thing to him too. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
But I mean, it's funny, but they needed those to look for polyps and shit. Like,
yeah, it's funny how my reaction is like, you pervy perv.
Not,
and it's like, it's the same as finding a microscope or something, which we found. Yeah. Oh, I know what I was going to say. You say your thing and then I'll say my thing.
No, I was just saying, like, at first, for the first few days, it was like it never stopped being a massive chore.
Yeah,
but,
a lot of drudgery and not
and
that
fun.
thing where you feel like you're making no progress, even though you are, but you can't see it.
But there's something about going through a person's life layer by layer, piece by piece, where
it's healing.
Yeah, I think that there's something really like loving and respectful about settling someone's estate.
Yeah, the first many days, the first many days were depressing AF. That's what I was saying, because it was only it was bills and it was medical stuff, and it was the most tedious aspects of day-to-day life. Like, it's like my mom majored in tedium. So many notes, but nothing interesting. It's all just
right.
Like, we found this my sister and I found this journal she had kept from one of our trips to Europe, and my sister's like, why isn't there anything interesting? And it's just like, went here, room's nice. Like, it's just details. It's nothing of any, there's no story to it. There was no story to anything that we found inside, except the story that would have been told was these people had medical problems and were concerned about money and technology, and a little bit OCD. But then when we got to the garage, it all changed for me, because it's so fascinating to me that the interesting stuff was in the garage. Like, that's where you see signs of life. It was like cordoned off to the...
I don't know if that's a universal
No,
thing.
for my family. Yeah. Cordoned off in it. So it's like, all these old things that, I mean, who cares? But we had a lot of Madame Alexander dolls and a lot of like international, I don't know whose they were, like little international dolls. So it'd be like a doll, like this doll is clearly supposed to be someone from Mexico, and it's kind of racist. And this doll is someone from Puerto Rico, and this doll is some, that kind of stuff. And then a lot of old pictures and tons of old books and like cards that my mom had written her mom, and she must have gotten them back when her parents died. She signed them Shell Bell, and Gigi Baby. Gigi was her dog. And then like a lot of old clothes, old schoolwork, stuff that we had made. There's something I was going to mention that I found, but I forget. Yeah,
I mean, I think that what you end up doing is you're taking a tour through what their lives in a way that you don't normally.
Yeah. Oh, I know what I was going to say that I found was these. So my mom's parents died in 1982. They died a few weeks apart. This is when she was like 32. And is that right? Well, yes. She was born in 49. And I think that kind of changed the course of her. Like, it was really hard for her to lose her parents so close together. And then my dad, we kind of joked in the family that he had like a 3-year midlife crisis when he turned 50.
Which is right around the same time.
According to her, he gave her 6 months to grieve, and then he's like, okay, we're done. Like, then he just went and kind of like went insane. Yeah. And not went insane, but I mean, he just like he was really obsessed with himself and his own feelings and acting out and all of, it was a real rough time for them. So I think that she was just like, probably felt very, I don't think she ever recovered. I feel like her life changed at that point. But I remember Beacon's Moving Company delivering a shit ton of boxes. And there have always been a shit ton of boxes in the garage. And I have said, I don't think she ever even unpacked the stuff that she got from her parents.
Right.
And I've always known someday I didn't know it was you and me. That'd be my sister and me. But someday it's going to have to be gone through. So I was surprised when I was the thing that surprised me when going through the lion's share of the boxes is, this is actually organized. Like someone did go through this, like ski clothes, baby clothes, shoes, dolls, it's labeled and care was put into it. But then I found these 2 boxes of tchotchkes and things, which are from her parents, which are still in bubble wrap, and they were never unwrapped. And it's kind of, it's neat. It's like, this is this like kind of like ornate bathroom stuff, and no anoscopes, but man, they had a lot of ashtrays.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. God. Yeah, but I've seen a lot of you see a lot of letters and versions of the person that you at least for me,
I don't know, Shell Bell.
Yeah, and I feel like after going through this, I have a much better sense of who your parents were. It's like I just watched a long documentary about the last few decades of their lives. I could tell you like some of the major events, the big things that occupied your dad's mind.
Oh, you want to share?
The big things. Well, first of all, he was an avid stamp collector, and I mean, he was seriously into stamp collecting. There's just an insane amount of not just stamps, but stamp related stuff and cool tools for stamp collectors. Like a thing that measures the perforation and a special kind of viewer and just stuff like that.
Yeah, this stamp collection, he probably put in, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah. At the very least, 100,000. He thought it was going to be this humongous investment, so it's insured at $200,000. We were offered 18,000 something from a dealer, but they offer you low. So now an auction house is going to come out and take a look at it. I'm really hoping that. But I just don't think it's held. It's a terrible investment.
As a general thing, it's like assets that you invest in that are supposed to be an investment. Like part of what you have to think about when you do that is our future generation. If you want to hold on to it, like, is this going to be like a generational pass it on to your kids kind of thing? Is that next generation?
Yeah, listeners have been like, maybe you should just keep the stamp collection. Like, you don't understand that it needs its own room. It's huge.
It's not like a couple binders.
It's not. No, it's like
it's like half a room full of stamps, and we're talking like old German stamps and just like it's crazy. But
match in medicine and revenue.
But nothing has value if the only value is what someone's willing to pay for.
Right. And I think we will get more than 18,000 for it.
I think we will too. But like,
not what he put into it.
There are like, art artifacts that I think your grandparents may have given to your mom that probably were worth quite a lot of money, except people don't collect those things anymore.
Are you talking about all those little heads and things, the little figurines? And
Yeah, figurines,
Yeah.
like old Japanese, like, Buddha stuff or whatever. And it's just like,
the Kachina doll. When we drove across the country, this is in the diary that my mom kept. That is the most. Oh no, she kept a. I can't remember. She might have kept them for both trips, and they're both deadly boring. Just one more word about that. It's the kind of thing where you open it up and you're like, "Ooh, I can't wait to read this," and then you're like, "Actually, I don't feel like reading this." I've had that experience so many times going through stuff. This Kachina doll they bought in New Mexico that was also supposed to be an investment that's worth like, the appraiser was like, "Oh yeah, those are on eBay for like $100."
yeah.
And then he's like, and the sad thing is I think they paid $2,200 for it because based on the price label on the bottom.
Yeah. So that's just an interesting thing about assets.
The jewelry appraiser was like, yeah, jewelry's a terrible investment.
Right. Right. Yeah, you can get whatever it's
He's
worth
like,
in
it's
gold.
fashion. Yeah, you can get them what it's worth in the metal. But like there's a strand, there's some pearls, and basically we can just get the gold out of the clasp.
Wild. Yeah. So because I think that your dad thought of a lot of these different things as like, this is gonna set you up, and it's just like, no, it's like maybe there's a little bit of money in it, but there's
I also recall him saying something like, I guess he had an analyst maybe who had said something like, a Jew should never own more than they can carry on their back. It's like a very,
well, these Jews own quite a lot more than what they
yeah, and so he thought stamps were good for that reason, and it's like,
he couldn't have
Dad.
carried that out of there.
yeah, like the reverse Jenny, fine, that's the upside down
Right.
airplane, but it's like these stamps are so much more unwieldy than cash.
Right, like a briefcase full of cash would have been more,
Way better.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Maybe it's because it's sort of like fruit in Japan where it's like 500 times wrapped. Like each stamp is in a thing to protect it.
Well, I think the fact that it didn't retain its value is okay. That's unfortunate,
Yeah.
but he didn't live to see that
right.
depreciation, and so the value of the stamp collection was there. He
Yeah,
got the value.
he
out
loved
of it, which was like he really enjoyed doing that, and that's the value, and that's great. He also, there's a ton of stuff about settling his parents' estate, and that was a big
obsessed.
part.
He felt that it was unfair, and he was
felt
obsessed.
it was unfair. There's like tons of paperwork about that. Just tons of medical stuff. It's crazy. He kept every MRI. There's like all these MRIs
Of his or my mom's?
and your mom's, I think. Just X-rays,
Yeah.
and I don't know, like he like his writings, he was, your dad wrote short stories or he wrote a book.
He wrote
And
2 books.
He wrote 2 books.
One was called The Last Diet Book, and it
Right,
was
I found
really
that. Yeah.
so. It was like a ripoff of the Atkins diet so much.
Was it an actual diet book, or was it
filled
like
with lots of stories? But
Okay.
it was instructive. It was like telling you how to. Is basically his whole thing was like, eat Chinese food, mostly vegetables, and like. But I think it was a low carb. It was a version of low carb. And I remember he had said that lettuce has no calories, and like the editor that he had hired wrote in the margins like, actually it has 3 calories or something. And but if you're writing a diet book, you kind of need to be accurate. But he was so irritated by that. And then he wrote one called the Nerd Who Whacked Bugsy Siegel,
Yeah.
which was like his mafia story. That's the one where he wanted me to edit it, and there were these sex scenes, and I was just like, I want to die.
There are sex scenes in like The Godfather, and so he probably was modeling it off of.
I'm sure, yeah. It's not atrocious that someone writes a sex scene, but it is atrocious that my father writes a sex scene.
I know. That's like when I found my grandmother's short stories, and it's like this, like it's almost like a soft core, like about
Was it a sex robot?
Yeah, like a scientist invents a sex robot. Oh God. But and then your dad had this.
This is one of my favorite ridiculous.
Your dad liked to take a book, like a biography, autobiography, or like, maybe it was a book that was like photographs of a person, like Sinatra or whatever. And he would do a personal inscription to himself as though it was from the person. So like there's a book about Jacques Cousteau, and it's like, hi John, this is for being, having such passion for the things that really matter in life. Fish. Your pal, hope to see you again, Jacques Cousteau. Or like Sinatra's the Sinatra one?
It was like Chandani was at the end.
But it was just like, wow.
What a weekend or something.
What a weekend. You guys are really, you know how to put it on, da, da, da. And he did that so much. And,
so we're probably going to have an estate sale.
He had a whole file.
Oh my God. This one is crazy. This one almost like uncomfortable to talk about. So I didn't know about it.
Okay. So these other ones are just like, okay. At first I was like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. And then you explained to me and I was like, okay, it's kind of funny.
Right.
I mean, it's weird that he kept doing it, but okay. Like, it's a little inside joke for himself. He liked to do that. That's okay.
What I was going to say though, and I know I'm interrupting you, is I hope the estate sale woman, like, I wonder if she's going to think that some of them could be real and like, oh, that's really worth a lot.
Well, because like at first you're like, wait, because you don't know. He's not there to ask.
Right.
Maybe that was the joke. But there's a file and it's like Space Shuttle or Challenger. It just says Challenger. And it's all these. So first you just see all these photographs of Challenger and then the explosion. Like, but they're printed out photos. They're not like clippings from a newspaper.
For our young listeners, the Challenger was a spaceship that had an American teacher named Krista McAuliffe aboard, and it was a huge deal. We all in school like watched it go into space. And
they would wheel the TV into the classroom, and we watched it take off. And
it was in 1984,
and
right?
then as it got to a certain point, it just fucking exploded.
Yeah,
and every kid's like, oh.
What's funny is I remember watching it. I don't remember my reaction to the explosion. I don't know that I understood what had happened.
Interesting.
But I do remember being like, there was a specific room that we would go to watch these things.
Yeah. It didn't have any kind of like traumatic impact on me or anything, but it was like, oh, that was unexpected. Anyway, and then there's like pictures of Krista, and then there is a letter to John from Krista, and it's like, it says, Dear John.
I
and then
always
it's like,
wanted to write a Dear John letter. What a weekend. My sides are still hurting.
Right. And it's like and so he had typed it out from Krista, and then he had faxed it to himself. So there's like a fax.
But at the bottom, it's like, sorry for using my school stationery. It's my Yankee frugality. And this is just on a blank piece of paper. But then there's also copies on the Concord School District paper. Like he had but this is before the days of scanners and stuff. So it's like on this like a mimeograph paper.
It's so weird. Like, why go through all that effort to put, and because like there's just a lot of it there.
Yeah.
And you're just like, and then he'd also like signed some other stuff, like a photograph of her and it's like his handwriting is just
obviously
his handwriting. And
right, like was he gonna try to sell this on eBay or something? I don't understand what he was doing.
So I go through all this stuff, and then I find a letter to Woody Allen. Oh, he also wrote, like, he would write letters. He would write a lot of letters to famous places people? Where they stayed, long letters talking about how miserable their stay was to try to get.
But then he's like, I don't like to complain.
Yeah, and it's like all he did. And letters to famous people, whatever. And so there's like a couple letters to Woody Allen, and your dad played jazz. He was a jazz trumpet player, and Woody.
And he had been the best man at Sidney Bechet's wedding.
Yeah, and so your dad was like in that sort of jazz world, and Woody, if you don't know, also is very into jazz. So like, okay, so he's got these two letters to Woody Allen, and then there's another letter, and it's so funny because all these letters are typed on like a typewriter.
Yeah.
There is a letter from Woody, and it's a long
it's like a whole page
typed out letter, and then written at the end, "Love, Woody."
I don't think it said love.
Oh, no, it says Woody Allen. No, it just said Woody Allen. Oh, yeah. So the first letter to Woody, the first one is like, hi, Woody, da-da-da-da. And then the second letter to him is like, hi, Woody Allen.
Hi, Woody Allen.
Okay, so...
This is real, though. That was real.
But I turned out that one's real. But
Yeah.
the thing is, like... How are you supposed to fucking know? You know, he did all this other shit that was fake, and then I'm supposed to believe that this letter's from Woody Allen.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think how I know it's real. I just knew it was real at the time, and like in his drafts folder, there's like he was like drafting his response to Woody, and like I just know it's real.
And your dad, it's like it's not like your dad didn't know anybody and he just would do these weird, funny inscriptions.
Right.
Like your dad knew some famous people.
He did,
there's a picture of you with Tommy Smothers that's like signed by Tommy Smothers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was friends with the Smothers.
He was friends with the Smothers brothers. Like Harry Blackstone was like
his best friend.
His best friend. Like there were people.
That's how he knew the Smothers brothers, through him.
Yeah. So it's like it's not completely out of. And your grandfather was famous for a time in New York. So it's like, it's not completely crazy to think that he would have met Jacques Cousteau or...
Well, I was looking in some letters between him and his sister from a long time ago. They had been to Jung's house in Zurich.
Carl Jung.
Fred Jung. Yeah, I guess it's...
Young MC.
Yeah, I knew that they had gone to Anna Freud's house. But I didn't know that they had gone and visited Jung.
Yeah, so that's why it's like, it's not I'm like, do we have like an actual, no, we do not.
Actual.
But anyway, so it's just like a lot of that stuff. I don't know.
My dad he was insane in many ways and hard to be around, but he was also silly and lively and fun.
Well, the thing about that stuff is
very loving.
It gives you this real strong sense of his personality. Like, you go through his stuff and you're like, yep, I feel like I just spent time with your dad. And weirdly, the lack of that stuff at your mom's side of the office also let me feel like I was spending time with your mom. Like looking through bills and notes about Cox Cable and all of the like busy work like that. But that was your mom. Your mom, it's like a conversation with your mom was a conversation about the next
Details.
iPhone. It was a conversation about Wi-Fi or cable. It was like never anything of substance. And that's what you find when you go through her stuff. Like she just didn't.
I feel like less so her younger years though. So this is actually to get into sort of, I feel like most of this episode is more Patreon stuff really. But she was a debutante and I think her parents really wanted to be San Francisco society and she went to a schmancy, they led a schmancy life. And
they bought and gave this massive sculpture to the city of San Francisco that's still there.
It's a Henry Moore, I think.
In front of the Performing Arts Center or something. Like it's...
Well, I thought it was at the courthouse, but then we saw an article she clipped. I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, they had these like these schmancy aspirations, and her mother was obsessed with like shopping, and my mom's friend told me that her mother had like her personal shopper Irina at some store. And so my mom was like this little doll for her parents, and she would be, her mother dressed her. It's actually sad. Like my mom had black hair, and they, from the time she was very little, they like would bleach her entire body. Mm-hmm. Because, they didn't want her body hair to show. And I mean, they just, they did some experimental thing where they put braces on her baby teeth. And I think that she just got the message that there was something wrong with her body, from the beginning. And she was, beautiful. But they would like dress her in this outfit of like a matching hat and little suit and a little matching purse. And I mean, she was just like, it's like out of Mad Men. Like
I will say though, the photos of your mom in her like teen years up through early 20s, she was extremely fashionable. Like she looked great. She had like it truly is like right out of a fashion magazine from like the height of whatever was fashionable at that year. So it's fun to look through because you're like, oh wow, look at she looks
outfits,
like she looks straight out of Mad Men or something.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And then, you know, her brothers have digitized some old home movies. I guess her dad was like really like always like sort of on the avant-garde of whatever the technology was for home movies. So I've seen these pictures of her and then these home movies, and that person I do not recognize because she is lively and confident and silly and gregarious and playful, so different than the person that I knew her to be. And then there's this picture of her and my dad, and it is like a cool looking photo, but she looks sullen. And so it's almost like if it was a movie, it's like needle scratch. Like what happened? Yeah. Because she went from being like this woman to this sort of the color drained. And my sister said that she said something to the effect of she felt like she had to put on an act around her parents and she could be herself around my dad. Mm-hmm. But I don't have peace with that.
Doesn't feel exactly right.
It doesn't, no. Like my brain keeps turning it over and over and over. I think you and I were talking about this a bit last night. Like, it's like, because I was saying, you know, left to my own devices, I might sit around in my robe, no bra, no makeup forever and just be like a lump on the couch. And I think it's important that I have these things that pull me out of my show and my this and my that, these things that pull me out of myself. Because even though it takes effort to be in public sometimes, it's still good for one to do it. And I feel like there was that pressure was completely removed from my mom, and she just became like she had her sweatpants personality. I'm not really articulating this well, but
she had no reason, nothing compelling her to engage in the world other than to engage with a person at Nordstrom's.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to square. I just can't imagine that this like depressed, insecure, no peace of mind person that I knew her to be was really where she was more comfortable. Like, was she really unhappy being this outgoing, gregarious person?
I think it's possible she was unhappy being that person, and then also events and circumstances of her life kind of created a more intensified version of the person that she was without that mask. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like both things can kind of be true.
Well, you know, the years between when she met my dad and when her parents died, I don't think she was that depressed person.
Yeah, and I think that I've actually thought about this with people a lot, like especially older people that you meet, and you know, so many older people, I mean, so many are just fucking miserable, and you know, cranky and bitter. Like, I mean, it's like when you meet, I hate to say this, but it's like when you meet an older person who's just like joyful and chirping, chipper, trying to use an old fashioned word. And
chirping.
It's usually like, oh, because they're usually not.
Right.
Excuse me. And,
you know why we're coughing? Because we inhaled 70s dust.
Yeah.
Sounds like cocaine.
And I've thought a lot about like, but they couldn't all. It's not like if you went back in time, there's like this young generation of miserable fucking cranks.
Well, some of it's just when your body starts failing.
And I get that, but it's like maybe that's what it is. But it's like, why is it that so many old people are so miserable? And I think that like some of it is isolation. I mean, our society does not, you know, this is a whole topic, but it's like, I think that we tend to like segregate the generations. So older generations are deeply unhappy because they're isolated. But I also think, like, did something happen
in their lives?
Yeah.
Mm.
And I know that, like, people in my family that I think about, if there wasn't a mental illness involved, because sometimes it's that, I can say, oh, this thing that they went through changed them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they never recovered. And the idea that a person can have a trial that they have to go through, and that at the end of that trial,
they're changed.
They're truly changed. Like, to me, I don't feel like I've experienced that.
Yeah.
I don't feel like, but maybe I have, but I don't feel like there's been like, oh God, yeah, I was one person and then this thing happened to me and now I'm this other person.
It's interesting.
So it's hard to reconcile that, but I see evidence of it. I do see that there are, so I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking it's sort of the Severance thing of, like, I wish I could meet her innie. For people who aren't watching Severance, the notion of that being, I wish I could meet, like,
the true version of that person.
It's the Eternal Sunshine of the Spot was similar to that. Actually, that doesn't relate, even though they are similar. The idea of meeting the person, who they would be without, like, the residue of life weighing
I wonder if
them
the
down.
show is going to really explore that, because it's like in Severance, you have the outies and they're so different. And it's like, I feel we're bringing that interpretation to the table. That it hasn't really, like, laid it out. But
just with, like, the Gretchen and Dylan, these are not spoilers. The Gretchen and Dylan plot,
but
I
also
feel like
with Mark,
touches on
like,
that.
where you go, like, oh, this person is this way because they've lived a full life,
right?
Whereas the innies are pure,
yes,
and they're just this sort of, they're the instinct of that person, and so they're like the true self,
right.
I think that's really interesting. I'd like to meet my dad's innie.
Yeah, I
bet
would have
he'd be
liked to
fun.
meet my mom's innie.
Yeah.
Well, listen, this has been a show. We are going to do a quick Severance Patreon. It has been requested.
Okay.
Your mom said she could leave at 10.
Okay,
so I think
we have about 20 minutes. Then.
Yes. Then so we're going to do a quick Severance Patreon, patreon.com/Alison Rosen. All right. I want to thank everyone for listening. Daniel wants to thank you for listening.
Mm-hmm.
We won't always only talk about this. It's just what's very much going on.
Week.
Yeah. It's like all I can think about. All right. Everyone, thank you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye. Did I do that right?
I don't know. Yeah, it sounded right.
Thank you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye. Why am I questioning it?
I don't know.
You guys, I'm questioning myself. Okay, bye.
Hey, do you know about the Alison Rosen Show? We had a good time